No matter how many times I end up thinking about that kind of trail that we have seen through the Open Division for HeroesHearth Esports and the opportunity that they had. Now, they do not have the chance at the first seed, but the top of the playoffs has been outstanding. And always, every time, even from their perspective, hearing Crowan, shed some light onto that. It's always insightful there, Jay Howe. But on the other side of the table, the fact that we do not have swabs is going to be that much more difficult for LFM.
I think the thing that I'm more confused about, who in the world has prom in the middle of April?
I don't know.
April?
To be honest, man, I was stuck playing video games in my room during prom. I do not know because I didn't go, but I'm guessing that is a little bit weird.
Nerd.
This guy playing video games instead of going to prom. Stay cool like the Dreadnought, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to go ahead and bring up the battleground here for game number 1 between these two teams. HeroesHearth Esports is going to stick to Tomb of the Spider Queen. Always love the small battlegrounds for this squad. The bands, though, coming out, LFM, Raiding of Volskaya, Foundry, and HeroesHearth Esports going, you know what? We are not dealing with the Sky Temple, LFM.
Targeted.
The best battleground for LFM, and now it's just already taken off the table.
Yeah, Tomb has kind of been this thing where it's like some North American teams, it seems like they're on the cusp of like, look, we finally have figured out how this works with all the gameplay changes. And, we saw a team like Gale Force yesterday. They had a good start, but sometimes it's if you're going to get the first turn in or two, you best make sure that you're 2-3 levels ahead at some point in that so you can really kind of put the nail in the coffin. However, Tempo Storm showed that, look, it's not all about that first turn. It's not all about that second one. The timing on this is always kind of tricky for me. It's fun to see how teams start to figure this out. But the way that we've seen HeroesHearth play, we know they can go Hanzo, Tassadar, or something along those lines. But they've been trying to make a point of it. We don't have to go Hanzo. We've seen a lot of Mage play, the Jaina, potentially Gul'dan on this, maybe even get a Chromie today. So it seems like HeroesHearth still kind of fine-tuning things, and I think this is a good opportunity for them to do it.
Yeah, it's going to be a good place, yeah, as you said, kind of hone in on some of the strengths that they have shown as a team. But without a doubt, HeroesHearth Esports, the only other team I would argue that can rival them within a standard 1-4 composition is Tempo Storm. And we have seen that last time we got that head-to-head, HeroesHearth was the team that pulled out on top. So anytime we get a small battleground for HeroesHearth Esports, I expect a lot of control, even when we don't get normally when we thought about this in the past, right? Where is HeroesHearth really going to be the bully? You're going to have Crowan on the Hanzen in front, using the natural agility around the turn-ins, just kind of choking off the zone. But they have shown that they've evolved a little bit past that strategy, but still keep up that kind of, dominant laning position there with the 1-4. So that's what I'm expecting here from HeroesHearth Esports. And you heard from them. They were saying, this is a moment for that they still want a convincing win. And, I'm looking for that as well from them as a group.
You have to. I talked about it a few weeks ago. Expectations. These are self-created expectations. You come out and you dominate the competition the way that you have. You're expected to 3-0. 3-1 may be forgivable, but if you're expected to do that, then this is the time to do it. We talk about that 1-4, a lot of the control that we've seen, the progress that we've seen from a player like Ishbu on that front line, whether it's the Garrosh, Diablo, a menace on this battleground. Even you could play the safe route with the Johanna if you want to on this. No matter what hero he's been on, this is a battleground that I think caters to his play style. Because when you have a warrior on your team that can be aggressive like that, and this is one where it's more impactful, something like Infernal Shrines as well, I think it's a place where Ishbu can really shine on this and just kind of allow Crowan, as we've seen it multiple times on this battleground, be aggressive with that position. Just kind of hang out, and he's like, look, I know I'm good because I got Ishbu on the front. I can do this all day. Arthaline, if he gets Maiev, if he gets Tassar, it doesn't even matter. He's making plays. It's just it's a fun battleground, I think, for HeroesHearth.
And last weekend, when we got them up against Tempo Storm, I was keeping my eyes on BBJ because I felt like Tempo Storm was going to be the first team that would, to be honest with you, I personally feel like he is on the weaker end of the roster here. Out of all the development and growth that he has been, if there's a place to exploit, a person to exploit on the roster, I felt like that was it. And Tempo was the team who would be able to push that. And it was the exact opposite. He showed up. He had debatably one of the best performing players on that roster within that series. So I want to see that same level because to me that shows that BBJ plays to his opponents. Right? And so I want to see against a team like LFM have that equal level of threat, that it isn't just Arthalon dancing around getting picks, Ishbu setting up the team on the front line. It is that constant synergy that we see as this unit, even when they play against the best in North America and, at the international level.
So you're saying that maybe you're not on the Lily train yet?
I'm not quite on the Lily train yet.
Not yet.
No, not yet.
BBJ hasn't sold you yet. Keyword yet.
Yeah, that's where we'll stand. Yeah, we'll leave it at a yet to be determined here.
We've seen Maiev being picked up by LFM before, but they're not a Medivh team. per se. And so by banning out the Maiev, LFM obviously looking to play around that. You don't expect them to go Medivh. They haven't traditionally been that style, and now you're working in another player. Hao coming in, has a lot of experience in the open division, is somebody that I think if you go back maybe a few years, he was on, was it Vox Nihili or something at one point with the likes of Hosty and things like that. Just a couple years ago at PAX, a team that kind of came in and surprised a lot of people. So he's got the experience, kind of been hanging around and in various forms or fashion. They are going to go the Medivh route, something that they haven't shown a penchant for up until now. Now, with that, with Heroes Hearth, obviously Garrosh is there, Diablo's there, but I really wonder, Jaina, burst damage into a Medivh doesn't always scream that good control.
I will say that Garrosh absolutely does scream a must pick here for me on the side of Heroes Hearth. Not only for Ishbu with a threat within the 4-man, but a Medivh Garrosh. One of the biggest downsides of Garrosh as a hero is his lack of mobility. And I don't want to say his lack of initiation, because that's not what you're looking for. He's one of the strongest initiators, but he's got to get on somebody, right? He has no gap closer. Medivh conveniently answers that problem very, very quickly. Here's a portal in. Okay, well, here's a throw back. Then you can even take the portal back for a second groundbreaker. We've seen the creativity around some of the taunt. That's just one of the reasons why I feel like, you know, we're going to see that here from them, even in the 1-2. What we see with it, though, up for debate. They've had lower support priority than a majority of the other supports, unless they're going to commit to the Stukov. They commit to the Malf instead. And you know what? Actually, that was an untrue statement, because now that I recall this, we actually got higher Malfurion priority out of BBJ in the series against Tempo Storm than we had seen from them throughout the entirety of, you know, kind of the part number 2 of Phase 1 here. You know, I'm going to slowly just say them enough to eventually just hopefully watch it trickle over.
It's literally week 10 on the last day.
Cut me a break here, Trent.
You know, the Malfurion is an interesting one, because as we do move in towards playoffs and midseason brawl, depending on what patch we're on, Malfurion has had several different tweaks. We saw the tweak on the regrowth no longer being applied to the likes of Mercenaries, something a lot of teams used to do to keep them alive. And then all of a sudden, you know, we've got a patch, I believe it's still upcoming, where regrowth has been nerfed from, like, I think 400 down to 370. And so we've seen some kind of play around Malfurion. So, you know, sometimes when we get into these scenarios, it's like, look, you can play with what's comfortable, play with what works, but you also might want to start transitioning a little earlier. There's going to be a Jaina and a Johanna. The wave could clear there for Johanna. The denial of Jaina against Heroes Hearth. Now, Gul'dan comes to mind if I'm on the side of Krohn. Maybe some Chromie action, but I'm curious where Heroes Hearth wants to go now.
Have we ever gotten Krohn to shift over to the Junkrat? Because to me, that seems like that would be the next go-to.
I think like 1 or 2 games whenever.
It just makes the most sense with the transition of the roles kind of being manipulated away from the Hanzo kind of all in, and now expanding Krohn's hero pool and the flexibility of Arthlon onto some of those offlaners. It does feel like that has got to be that overlapping between the two that they can always rely on as that go-to, again, to kind of bring out for the squad whenever they would need, especially on these smaller maps and wave clear ones. I would like to see that, if they don't do it now, eventually kind of reiterate that into the pool. That in mind, you know, honestly, Krohn probably can get away with the Junkrat even now. It's not like it's a new hero. And
I'm trying to think. New hero, you mentioned it. Phoenix is available.
Okay.
But I also wonder if we might get a Tassadar mixed in here. Maybe we see some teams go into the Tracer style play. And against the Medivh, not necessarily the greatest. Johanna has the blind. Maybe a Jaina seems a bit more tempting. We'll see if that comes into play. I love the Tassadar on this battleground. Really high win rate on this. Very successful. Fits in that wave clear department. Very easy to finish a Psystorm talent at level 1. And all of a sudden, by level 16, that Psionic Echo with those big damaging Psystorms going down, very good wave clear.
It's got pretty good synergy with Garrosh Malf as well. Takes away a lot of some of the kind of awkward moments for them. They end up committing to it. I don't know, it's going to be interesting. I actually really like this rotation. Unless we get the Gul'dan, or unless we get the Gul'dan or the Chromie, then I feel like we didn't get to learn it much. Okay, we're still sticking in the norm. The Chromie does feel like the weaker of the two whenever we see them go into it. I mean, even against some lesser opponents, when we see the Chromie busted out, it's not that impressive Heroes Hearth performance that we're always looking for. Granted, it's not like it's, you know, getting them big L's or anything of the like. It's just not the dominance.
Like the Chromie looks good, but is it making the team look good?
And most of the time, it does feel like it's kind of a holding the team back. If we get that, again, the Gul'dan, I would just be like, okay, standard 1-4 coming out from them. But I would like to see some flexibility here for Heroes Hearth. And this is a great place if they are going to flex and start, you know, risking some minor adjustments. Perfect team and circumstances to make that happen.
It's been a while since we've seen a Greymane. Greymane used to be kind of like that fallback option. We do get the Gul'dan, and then we're going to pair that with the Blaze. So McIntyre continue to hone his skills on the Blaze. It's something that has been more and more popular. I think it's something that will be necessary if they can get past the playoffs, looks towards, you know, the potential playoff impact, and then if they can get to that international. I don't want to say international too much because, I mean, the likes of Team 12, Team Freedom are lurking really close. Simplicity and Gale Force, depending on what day.
I think that's fair, but I also look at it and I go, right now, even though standings-wise, HeroesHearth can't be our #1 seed, it does feel like in part #2 they are our best team as it stands. There is still a chance, right? Again, that's why the playoff system exists in the manner that it does. There is always that, you know, if you have that power play weekend, you have the opportunity to get the upset, but it does feel like HeroesHearth is the #1 seed right now as it stands, and results are backing it up.
So this is an area, again, where I'm not sure how I feel about a Jaina Medivh, right? So Jaina, objectively strong, can follow up a lot, give you that wave clear that you need. Stukov fits into that, Johanna fits into that. Jaina, you know, you talk about a lot of that with Jaina can only provide wave clear or kill potential. But then I also think about Medivh, Jaina, inherently are both mages, and you are lacking in terms of sustained damage. And this is a situation where that sustain sometimes hurts a team. You have good wave clear, you have good control over certain areas, but is it gonna really matter in some of these clutch team fights if you don't get that initial kill?
And I would argue that only gets amplified a little bit more, kind of exaggerated when looking at the composition of LFM. The Medivh, Johanna, Stukov, and Leoric are all very good at that slow kind of sustained team fight, right? But if Jaina is only providing burst for a couple of seconds, the odds of that kind of sustained survivability coming online and being impactful into a Gul'dan is very, very low. He will always get the ability to get that trade up, especially with the Malfurion heals kind of ticking away over top. So then normally you go within the opposite, right? If we can't win with the sustain, you go for that immediate initiation. But again, Jaina's the only one that kind of caters towards that playstyle, minus maybe a late line seal isolation. Last pick is going to still be the Junkrat there. It's going to be in the hands of Arthlon, not that flexibility over towards, you know, Crowin, like I was kind of suggesting this team may need to do going forward.
You know, you think, all right, you know, you can win out in the wave clear department, but then you say Junkrat and Gul'dan. I mean, they're not going to really lose out in any form or fashion. You can definitely speed up the rotations. You can look for kill potential quite a bit. It's really hard. Like, if you're rotating with a Johanna, Jaina, your kill potential is much higher because of the burst. Gul'dan, not necessarily that high burst damage, generally not until you can finish Echoed Corruption, which is much later down the road. And then, of course, Junkrat, he can poke, get a little bit of damage, but it's never going to be that, like, oh, I think I'm dead. Like, 90% sure I'm dead. It's more like, I think I should live here, unless they execute this perfectly, which HeroesHearth is capable of doing.
I feel like this game is going to be a perfect example of the struggles of Jaina versus wave clear and kill potential, because they have not made up for that in any other part of the composition except for maybe Johanna. Again, the exact same problem. Enables wave clear, does not have it individually herself. So they can wave clear all day with the Johanna Medivh portals between the two, but they're never going to get a kill on top of that, right? And it's not like the wave clear, as we've said, is shabby on the side of HeroesHearth, so they have to make up for it for kills. So how often do we see that Blizzard follow up on a Condemn versus on the portal that's diving the backline? It's a huge test here for T. And not only T, but just more so the compositional maybe flaw of the pick itself.
They're going to come out 30 seconds in, Condemn into Lurking Arm, into Blizzard. It's going to change all of our minds. Either way, we were going to kick things off today with HeroesHearth on the left in blue here, as it will be BBJ on the Malfurion, Ishbu, of course, on the front line on the Garage. McIntyre, he's bringing the heat on the Blaze there. Arthlon is going to be tossing out those nades. We know he's all kinds of fun on this Junkrat. And Crowin going to be out in the Gul'dan to round this out.
LFM Esports here in red. We do not have, as we, you know, actually we'll get into this in a moment here. Aware is going to be supporting the team on the Stukov. Next up, we got How Nguyen, and he is going to be replacing here over for on the Leoric for Swabs, as we said, over at Prom. Hope you're having a great prom there, Swabs. Draded is on the Medivh.
He must be on the East Coast.
We will have Figgy on the front line, though. Still here today, ladies and gentlemen, playing that Johanna. And we got T on the Jaina. A lot of pressure on T's shoulders here in this game.
If he's on the West Coast, then he could play and then go to Prom. Should have moved.
Should have moved just for Prom. Or the HGC, one of the two. Depends how you look at it.
Well, here's the rotation down that, you know, I was kind of wondering what we see. When you have the Gul'dan and when you have the Junkrat, it makes it far easier damage. You can see Ishbu threatening the aware, got that lurking arm down. Iron Skin going to be used. So Ishbu, no toss opportunity just yet. He's going to pick up a few gems on the way. But the rotation of the Junkrat to make sure that they control not only the bottom but the mid is pretty significant. It's also keeping Medivh here. Normally Medivh can be your setup guy in some of the plays. Get those portals in, see if you can get that condemn into all the other stuff that you're going to need for these early game kills. Instead, with this rotation, it's kept them honest, and now Junkrat, because they know that the attention is top lane, Junkrat's going to look towards that bottom siege camp. Yeah, he's going to be able to start that up for free here. We'll see if at any point we get Leo to make the transition down, but the 1-4 for LFM is holding its own for now. They're focusing on the wave clear like I was talking about. They have to get that trade-off between the two, and it's not like they're going to struggle. Hold up, though. How actually sniffing this out. Nice concussive mine. It's going to be a bit anti-synergistic there with McIntyre and that jet propulsion, but not going to cost anything here. Giant Cam picked up for HeroesHearth. Just controlling the area. Ishbu gets the toss away. No need for the aggressive toss, and now the siege camp. You know, HeroesHearth controlling this. LFM holding their own in turn of getting that clear, because you can see right there the condemn into the blizzard is fine, but is it netting you anything else at the moment? I mean, you could say you're playing pretty much neutral, but giving up that siege camp is just giving, again, more control over to HeroesHearth. See if they can find a way to get that control back into their favor. BBJ is going to go ahead and start that turn-in. Shield Glare is going to deny attempt one. Figgy coming back for a second. Use the condemn. Will interrupt there. But there's a bit of work here on the bottom half of the map that the members of LFM are looking to deal with. Arthlon and McIntyre there. Blaze and Junkrat. Way too much siege damage with the Giants. Able to take out the turret, half the front wall, really, to kind of boot with it. And getting the turn in. Just these are the small things that HeroesHearth is going to kind of poke in, prod at, pick up at specific points of the map here, and then eventually add up to major, major victories. It's something you and I note quite a bit. I mean, imagine if HeroesHearth does obtain the first turn in, although first kill, first blood going over as Gul'dan gets caught in there. There's that initiation. Condemn, get that extra movement speed when you use Condemn. Johanna, of course, trying to make the plays there, does get that into the lurking arm. So just as we're talking about HeroesHearth getting control, LFM shifting things around. Yeah, and that was one of those situations where the Condemn was able to hit the minions and able to hit the Gul'dan at the exact same time. So we didn't see that trade-off of do we see the wave clear versus the kill potential. T was like, oh, wow, with the Condemn like that, I'm going to take a little bit of both there. Grabbing that first blood for LFM buys them enough time to drop off a couple of gems. 23 in their name, actually 30 there after Aware. Kind of sends over 7 more. Figgy has an Iron Skin if he needs to make it out, but the Groundbreaker is going to be thrown over along with that toss. We do see the Iron Skin being used and the portal used to escape there, but a bit maybe too patient on the Iron Skin in that type of situation. It's like, hold on, you got to use a couple other things to get that save there. Now 10 gems away for HeroesHearth, as we were trying to talk about earlier. If they get the turn in, that bottom lane is already softened up. That mid lane, as you can see, has some structure damage onto the towers as well. So that could easily turn into a large amount of experience if we do see HeroesHearth. Figgy has no Iron Skin. Jet Propulsion comes through, but the Medivh shield and portal, great job there. Ishibu actually baited the Iron Skin, tried to get a long body block there, and a good job from McIntyre understanding that, getting the initiation, but traded there on the Medivh, able to save the day. It'll be interesting to see, you know, how often that kind of comes to light. T go ahead and use the Blizzard, gain control over the mid lane for now. Again, that's going to pull away from that kill potential. It means they automatically have to rotate out, because whenever we see that being used, it does limit their capabilities of taking the trade there. Gino, though, is already ahead of it, already making the transition towards top. But in the meantime, BBJ actually dumping off a couple more. Only 2 more gems necessary here for HeroesHearth for the first Web Weavers. And they're hitting that window of 7.5, 8. And if they get that, you can see Ishbu starting the channel there, starting to be interrupted. But see which team gets it in first. Neither team has made a play on their night camps. Oftentimes we see those pretty early to try and get some early damage. But the speed of the rotations due to the amount of wave clears, I think, kept both teams fairly neutral in saying, hey, can we afford to go back and get these camps? And right now, the answer for both teams has been no. Crowan will get this Web Weaver phase here. So first one going to descend in favor of HeroesHearth. T needs to get out. Great nice dismount there by Crowan's going to lead to the flip, the toss over. There's the root down, and the first kill of the game here for HeroesHearth, timed perfectly with that Web Weavers. Crowan the setup. If Crowan doesn't get that dismount, that kill probably doesn't happen. So nice teamwork there by HeroesHearth. We know that's what they do. They work together in all forms of fashion, whether it's basic ability combos, or whether it's the big heroic wombo combos. Either way, they know how to do it probably better than anybody. They're looking around level 9. That'll be here momentarily as these structures start to fall. Should be able to rotate this into level 10, especially with no Jaina, buying them quite a bit of time for these Web Weavers. So curious how aggressive HeroesHearth might find themselves as these structures start to fall.
So going to continue the siege, but there's a portal initiation onto Crow, and all the damage is going to be there. The Drain Hope into the fray from Ishbu saves the day, keeps Crowan alive there. First of all, just want to say great job there by Crowan, having the confidence to turn around, get the Drain Hope, but then, man, Ishbu on his legendary Garrosh, just making a name for himself once again here in the final weekend of standard play of HGC North America. But with these 10s, initiation's going to come through. Great Medivh portal, immediate follow-up with the Horrify. Figgy is going to not be long for this world. He drops, and now HeroesHearth going to claim this mid-fort.
This is just almost too easy. They picked up 10 off of that, just as expected with these Web Weavers. Look at Arthalon. He's just looking to see, look, can I make a play here? Can I get in? Instead, the fort's going to fall with level 10. They still have a half level before then. See how aggressive they want to be. They actually have enough for another turn in.
Yeah, and this is going to be a double Web Weaver phase with the mid-4 already prepped into their favor. It's going to accent the value that the Silence are going to get by a lot here for HeroesHearth. Luckily for LFM, though, 10s will be here. There is that opportunity to kind of dive past the front line and look to get the all-in initiation.
That's definitely something they could do. We saw them pull the trigger once already on that. They were able to almost got the kill on Necron, so that threat is very much there. We're going to see the Entomb locked in, see if that can make the play. Jaina, do we get the Water Elemental, which is so popular here in North America, or do we maybe get the setup of the Ring of Frost, something we don't get as much?
And be in a situation where it's a double squishy backline, I could see maybe an argument for it, but we're going to see ourselves team moving into the welly still per usual here in North America. Mid-Web Weaver, already gaining quite a bit of value. Blaze is prepping that one. The rest of HeroesHearth Esports going to set up here. Ishbu looking for that initiation onto Aware. Weighted Pustule is going to be enough to get the dismount and kind of deter that for now, but this top 4 is going to be easy clear. McIntyre looking for that jet propulsion. Man, Figgy for a moment there. If they had sniffed that out, would have been dead, but he's able to make it out here.
Dread, that mid lane has been prepped by Arthalon so much. I was like, man, how much damage has this done? Come to find out, pretty significant. That entire keep wall is down, and this is putting HeroesHearth in a prime position because they'll be rounding 13. The minute they can get a little bit more damage here in the top lane. Notice the positioning of HeroesHearth, though. They recognize the potential flank coming in as it comes in, Dread.
Yeah, they're going to get the Entomb onto Ishbu. Quite a bit of damage, but the bunker over from McIntyre is going to make an easy escape. Figgy hits the 3-man condemn, but he is by himself there. Nice Iron Skins going to stop the Groundbreaker, not going to land. Welly is slowing enough of HeroesHearth that they will not get any more of this initiation than they would like. Great attempt there from LFM, but also amazing their kind of disengage with the bunker use from the members of HeroesHearth.
Now HeroesHearth sitting 2 levels up. They do have that 13 advantage. Medivh sitting on 36 stacks currently, 26 stacks for Kron on that Echoed Corruption. So a lot of members still making their way towards some crucial talents. Jaina did finish her Fingers of Frost, but sitting on 6,000 out of 15,000 to get that ice barrier. So hard to be as aggressive, but we'll see as this game goes on if it can make it there. Right now, HeroesHearth trying to make sure that it doesn't.
If there is that kind of momentum swing in the favor of LFM outside of the kind of a major pickoff on the members of HeroesHearth Esports, it's likely got to be that 13 into 15 turn-in attempt and then double Web Weaver turn-in into their favor. That's still even a ways out here, but it is the most realistic fight that they can get over HeroesHearth Esports on an even footing. In the meanwhile, it's going to be just trying to clear the waves and not letting the map get too too overwhelming, because HeroesHearth wave clear is so very good there. Again, as we said, between the Junkrat and the Ghoul. Dan?
Well, there's a lot of what you just said that holds a lot of truth in LFM's eyes. They're willing to concede a little bit of real estate here, although Figgy forced to use that Iron Skin. They're trying to get to 13 before they choose to be aggressive, but now they have to make their defense here in the mid lane. T has to be very careful not to get caught by any type of setup, and you can see Ishbu on the bottom of your screen just looking for that aggressive flank, looking to flank anybody, see if he can get the kill.
They're going to go in onto Figgy. Force of Will is enough to deter that. The portal in and out. Now, is Figgy going to get the reinitiation? No, he's going to pull back there with that Condemn T, able to deter McIntyre from wanting to get too aggressive there with a nice couple Ice Lance. There goes the Blessed Shield after the silence. Cleanse coming out there from BBJ. The Entomb cutting off the retreat, though. How making the play there with the 3-man Condemn. Everybody getting into the bunker. HeroesHearth is just fine for now. BBJ kiting away with the Tranquility. Figgy is getting the Flailing Swipe to be able to peel, but the damage is going to be there. Arthalon locking in the first pick of this skirmish. And it looks like it's going to be the last here. Web Weaver's now making their name on the map, but HeroesHearth going to get easy clear over this middle one.
That was a killer setup there with that Entomb, but it wasn't enough to get enough of a kill there. It was so close. Good polybomb as well. You can see they were trying to get in the bunker. It's like, wait a minute, I'm a sheep. Sheeps don't belong in the bunker. This is not a barn. So they weren't able to get in initially. He's like, I better peel out of here. Either way, 15-13 here for HeroesHearth. They're going to clean up, but buying some space here did LFM.
Look at this.
They're looking to be very aggressive, see if they can get a kill.
Yeah, see if they can get McIntyre or Crow in. But, ooh, I actually want to bring to light a really interesting decision-making there. Hold up, though. Ishbu may be caught out. Taunt's going to go down. Flip over. Force of Will, though, buying enough time. Ishbu falling very, very low. Still cutting back. The Blessed Shield, everything being used on him. But Jaina ends up going down in the process along with the Stukov. Ishbu ends up falling, but LFM losing 2 members in the process and maybe more.
They're trying to expedite things, but McIntyre not able to get there. Figgy, he's in trouble. There's going to be a portal out. Let's see if McIntyre gets the setup. Jet propulsion not landing there onto Figgy. I think the Iron Skin might have still been there, but...
So what I was going to bring up over that initiation, right, with the attempt of gank on the bottom half of the map, is did you notice how Draded went with the rest of the members of the team? There is zero reason a Medivh should be sticking with his team in that type of situation. All he did right there by approaching from above, in a shrub especially, you're showing that you're holding a mentality of a hero that can't get away with some of the things that Medivh can. And when you have that kind of philosophy, it's essentially admitting some of the flaws or weaknesses that you have. Gave away the aggression of that initiation. If that comes from any other angle, not the shrub that the rest of the members are of LFM, I'm not saying it nets a kill, but definitely the direction he went made me go, oh, yep, they're invading. Please get away from this situation. That cannot be done here with LFM, with the circumstances they find themselves in this game.
There's enough to turn in. They do get the turn in, does HeroesHearth. You know, they've got mid lane halfway down in terms of that keep. The strength of these Web Weavers definitely there now to start doing some serious structure damage. Siege Giants will be pushing and need a response in that bot lane. HeroesHearth, if things go really well, might be able to end the game. But at this point, 1 keep should be the minimum. 2, maybe a bit more, and if they can take all of it, take the core.
Here we go. Web Weavers have descended. Middle keep is now going to be the focus. Horrify already dropped there onto Draded. No kill going to be acquired yet. Aware using the flailing swipe along with the condemn and entomb. Figgy moving up. Portal's going to be laid, but nobody going to take it.
That mid keep is somehow still, it shouldn't survive because the other lanes are going to require a response, which means that HeroesHearth should be able to poke this down fairly easily. But so far, LFM's actually done a pretty decent job at holding on to this because the other lanes, the bot lane has now been cleared out. Junkrat's going to try and force a response to that top lane. But HeroesHearth, the minute he shows, we'll see if LFM maybe tries to get aggressive, but the Flames from the
they
oil,
have to get
almost
aggressive. One of the 2 lanes, they need to force an initiation. They go for the 2-man split over onto Arthlon's lane. In fact, not going to commit with a heavy portal up towards that. They end up losing mid. They end up losing top as well. And now LFM here. Everything seems to be building against them, even more so with the posturing of HeroesHearth Esports, questioning, do they want to start this boss?
I feel like that's one of those moments, though, Dread, where it's like, look, this mid keep going to probably fall anyways. You need to cut your losses, right?
Yeah.
You need to send everybody top at that point. You know, mid's a foregone conclusion. Save that top keep. Instead, they end up losing both. If you defend both, then you lose both. Now Figgy, he's in trouble. Big condemn there. Gonna force out the Bless Shield. Gonna buy him a little bit of time, but BBJ with the roots over. Arthalon in chase, but the rest of the fight's going on up at the top.
Riptire goes down, end up getting the kill there on to the Johanna. Good groundbreaker. A couple nades being thrown out by Arthalon. Force of Will and the portal's going to be necessary.
Oh
T
God.
has too much damage on top of him, though. Has to ice block just to keep alive. How? Getting that back there. Ended up picking up quite a bit of the gems that Johanna ended up dropping. 80 in his hands. How can single-handedly get this turn in for LFM? But you know LFM's not going to let that happen. They start the boss, and where does Arthalon go? Goaltending right out the gates, making sure there is no sneaky turn in here for LFM.
Good call by Arthalon. You always want to make sure and have that one down at the bottom. We'll keep an eye on the mini-map while the rest of the attention is definitely on the boss. Jaina also trying to get the turn, and you can only defend one place at a time. Ooh, he missed it.
He ended up missing it, and that's enough for the Web Weaver. I don't know if that would have been enough to get the stall out. If he had actually hit that stall, would the rest of the team of HeroesHearth make the transition down to be able to join Arthalon and help out? I feel like it would have been pretty close one no matter what. But in the end, Web Weaver phase 4 LFM, though it is a silver lining, if you will, it's not like it's going to gain that much. It's very easy to be cleared here by HeroesHearth, not only because of the wave clear, but more importantly, that top boss demanding a lot of answers from LFM.
And you can see with HeroesHearth, they're sitting on about 50 gems right now, and probably more by the time this is over. They can play around the 20 tier, get that Web Weaver around level 20. So LFM, Dreadnought, they're going to have to find a way. Yes, they buy a little bit of breathing room with this, clearing out the boss. They have enough for another turn-in. So they need to fight fast or turn in fast or both. If they can win a team fight, win a skirmish, get one pick, maybe two, and the turn-in, things might turn in their favor. But that is a very difficult position to be in. As you can see, HeroesHearth respecting that of LFM, the aggression, knowing that all HeroesHearth needs is level 20. They're going to play it safe.
Johanna questioning if she's going to collapse now that the front wall is down. They end up committing here, but all the members of HeroesHearth are safe enough. Arthalon still worried about the 20, getting the double soak between mid and bottom.
Arthalon is just, if you look at it, every time you kind of just casually look at the minimap, Arthalon's somewhere else. He's just like, yeah, I'm Junkrat. I'm going to go escort this in. I've got concussion mines. Did you see what I did on Sky Temple?
Yeah, he might be collapsed on there. No, able to make it out through that kind of escape there. Enough gems for a Web Weaver phase now for HeroesHearth Esports. Junkrat going ahead and turn those in. The rest of the members of HeroesHearth with their 20s drop off their gems up top. We're going to find ourselves another Web Weaver phase in what is likely to be the last here, because now with the 20 spike and double keep down, all HeroesHearth is going to do is force an initiation, wait till the Web Weavers become overwhelming, and we'll look to all in that core.
Well, I do like the call by LFM to wait on this night camp to alleviate some of the pressure here in the mid lane. It's not going to do a ton, but it will buy them precious seconds. That top lane got pushed out pretty far, but you could see Krillin already went to the top to make sure and deal with that to get those catapults pushed out even further. That overwhelming feeling, Dread, it's about to be unbearable. How trying to force the action here as he's on the back line.
Yeah, he's going to Wraith walk in. There's an Entomb with the two-man flip over from Ishbu. Ishbu falling pretty low there. The bunker already going to be dropped. BBJ healing up with the Tranquility. Aware falling low as T is taking so much damage from McIntyre and Arthalon. How with another Wraith walk through the members of HeroesHearth Esports. But HeroesHearth Esports is just slowly but surely eking ahead. There's going to be the first kill. Second kill there. Third is Arthalon throws out the nades here on Johanna. No indestructible here. Figgy is out of here. 3 members down. HeroesHearth now is going to take game 1.
Things look pretty clean here for HeroesHearth. I mean, this is kind of what you expect from a team of this caliber. LFM, they put up a heck of a fight. Obviously, they're playing with a sub today. How? I mean,
he made the biggest play of the game.
Yeah, I mean, if you're not out there and we're like saying, oh, how? If you, I mean, it's sometimes the best compliment is to not have your name called at all. Like, it means you're doing something not wrong. So, I mean, it came in, LFM, obviously on the battleground choice of HeroesHearth. Strong team. They love that battleground. They performed very well on that. And then Krillin, once he got stacked up, Arthalon doing whatever he does at any given time with any hero he's on, making plays happen all around the battleground.
And even then, you know, with how subbing in here on the Leoric, we haven't seen much of Leoric in North America because he's just not really been able to hold his own without kind of feeding quite a bit. And even in this game, you know, only 1 death to a team is formidable. It's HeroesHearth Esports. Definitely holding up for the team. And as we said, like, I feel